Imagine a world where the concept of money doesn't exist, where your worth isn't determined by the size of your bank account, and where communities thrive off of cooperation rather than competition and compensation. It might sound like a utopian dream, but today we're going to explore why a world without money could potentially lead to a more fulfilling and equitable existence for everyone. Let's start by examining the current problems with our money-based system. We've all heard the phrase, money is the root of all evil, or cash rules everything around me, as well as many others. There's no denying money often fuels greed and overconsumption. The constant pursuit of wealth could lead us to an insatiable desire for more, leaving us feeling perpetually unsatisfied. Moreover, our obsession with money has warped our perception of value. We've all heard the saying, time is money, but have you ever stopped to consider how this mindset devalues voluntary work and non-monetary contributions to society? When we reduce everything to its monetary value, we often overlook the intrinsic worth of activities done for their own sake. And perhaps most concerning is the concept of wage slavery. Many people feel trapped in a cycle of working just to survive, rather than truly living and fulfilling their full potential in life. This sense of powerlessness and exploitation is a direct result of a money-centric system. Bills, debt, and economic status are some of the most notable reoccurring issues leading to rising numbers of people dealing with stress, anxiety, depression, and countless other mental and physical health conditions. Not to mention the increasing number of people without homes or shelters due to rising costs of rent, groceries, goods, and services. But what if there was another way? Believe it or not, there are communities around the world that function without money. Take the Twin Oaks community in Virginia, for example. This egalitarian society shares all income and resources, with members working collectively for the community's benefit rather than individual gain. Indigenous tribes like the Yanomami and Awa tribes in the Amazon have lived without money for centuries, relying on nature and bartering for their needs. Even in our modern world, experiments like the Buy Nothing movement show how local gift economies can thrive. So how might resource distribution work in a world without money? One approach is community-based natural resource management, which integrates conservation with community development. This system emphasizes collective decision-making and sustainability, ensuring resources are used wisely and to the benefit of all. Participatory planning is another key concept. By involving all community members in decision-making processes, we can ensure equitable distribution and effective utilization of resources. And of course, bartering and resource sharing would play a crucial role as well, allowing for direct exchange of goods and services without monetary intermediaries. Now, you might be wondering about the philosophical foundations that could support such a radical shift in our society and ways of life. Egalitarianism is a great example, which advocates for equality among people. This could provide a framework for fair resource distribution based on the needs of the people rather than wealth and supply and demand. Anachro-communism proposes a society based on common ownership and free association, while mutualism emphasizes reciprocal exchange of labor and support within communities. It's important to note that with communism, one can still possess personal property, but not private property in terms of hoarding resources for scarcity and/or means of production for personal gain or the gains of small groups of people. I think there should also be emphasis put on knowing when you have enough for yourself and your family, and when you have enough to trade, barter, or donate. Ideally, to grow as a race of people, no matter where we live or what we look like. I think there are other key points from various other philosophies that should be mentioned as well, but I'll save those for later in the video. Environmental ethics would also play a crucial role. Without monetary valuation of resources, we'd need a strong ethical framework to ensure sustainable management of our natural world. Of course, transitioning to a moneyless society wouldn't be without its challenges. Large-scale coordination of complex projects and infrastructure maintenance could be more difficult without centralized economic systems. We would need to find new ways to motivate people to perform essential but perhaps less desirable work. And the transition itself would require significant societal and structural changes. Despite these challenges, however, the potential benefits are immense. Imagine a world where worth isn't determined by a paycheck, but your contributions to society. Where we work not just to survive, but to thrive and fulfill our potential. Where our focus would shift from accumulating wealth to cultivating meaningful relationships. And in such a world, we might find that many of the problems plaguing our current society, being inequality, exploitation, environmental degradation, and more, may begin to dissolve. We might discover that the true wealth of society lies not in its GDP, but in the well-being and feeling of fulfillment in its people. As we grapple with these issues of inequality, exploitation, and environmental crises, exploring alternatives to our current money-centric system becomes not just an interesting thought experiment, but necessary to step towards a more sustainable and just future for all. Like I said earlier in this video, there are some other philosophies that might help us achieve such a goal or outcome. Mentioned earlier in the video were egalitarianism and anachro-communism, but there are some others I'd like to mention as well. Prioritarianism is a view that suggests giving weighted priority to those with fewer resources or lower well-being. In a moneyless world, it could guide resource allocation to ensure that the least well-off are more prioritized. Another would be collectivism, emphasizing the importance of collective goals over individual desires. It may be essential in maintaining social cohesion in a moneyless world. Or functionalism, which is a perspective which views society as a collection of interconnected parts working together, which could help organizing labor and resource distribution without monetary incentives, as well as mutualism. This philosophy emphasizes reciprocal exchange of labor and support within the community, not to mention environmental ethics and ethics in general. Without monetary valuation of resources, a strong environmentally and socially conscious ethical system would be vital for sustainability and resource management. Additionally, social contract theory. Understanding the implicit agreements that bind society together would be important without monetary incentive. Backtracking a little bit, virtue ethics. Focusing on character development and moral virtues could help foster cooperation and fairness in resource distribution. Finally, utilitarianism. This philosophy aims to maximize overall well-being, could guide decision-making in resource allocation and labor organization. These philosophies would provide a framework for addressing key challenges in a moneyless society. Like we've covered in this video, resource distribution, labor organization, and maintaining social cohesion. I think it would also be extremely beneficial to add ideas from some schools of philosophies like panpsychism, Stoicism, Tao or Taoism, Buddhism, and many more directly into society as a base to learn on. A world without money may seem like a radical idea, but as we've explored today, it's not as far-fetched as it might appear. By shifting our focus from monetary wealth to the true wealth of time, experience, and community, we may find that a moneyless world is indeed better for all that live in it. The journey to such a world would undoubtedly be challenging, but isn't a more equitable, fulfilling, and cooperative society worth striving for? I encourage you to imagine what life might look like in a world without money. How might our priorities shift? How might our relationships change? But most importantly, how might we all benefit from such a profound transformation of society? Now, before I dive into some of my own thoughts, if you're interested in learning more about this topic, I recommend exploring some videos like the TED Talks, A World Without Money by Jade Saab or Saab, or What Would Happen If Everything Was Free by Colin R. Turner. Other great videos include Imagine a System Without Money on a channel called Wake Up World TV that shows a 10-minute clip from the film Zeitgeist Addendum. The description of the video sums it up perfectly, and I'll take a little blurb to read to you now. Visionary and self-taught architect Jacques Fresco explains his ideal world that incorporates a resource-based system, no money or even other forms of bartering exchange. A world without money is more than just imagination. It is very possible. Jacques Fresco believes that if we decide to do this today, all things about this world could change within 10 years. Some other great pieces of work to look into include works by David Graeber, like Anarchist Economic Theory, Gift Economy Studies, and Alternative Economic Models of Indigenous Cultures. I can also make sure to link those in the description so it's easier to find them. I've been looking into this topic for a while now, and I agree that I think this is very possible and achievable outcome for society or solution for society. Just based off looking around and all the people I interacted with and I still interact with in society, both working part-time or full-time jobs, whatever it is, or trying to be their own boss, as an entrepreneur, or whatever they're trying to do, it never made sense to me why, especially in the Western world, we had rising levels of depression and endless amount of other stuff, but we never want to address the root of the problem. And I wonder if that's more, if it's on a larger scale than we even realize, if it's not within us as much as the system that oppresses us and keeps us down. And I've gone over this idea before in some of my videos, but I'll go over it again quickly, is the idea that if we do live in a society that is based on money or exchange or the different types of work that we do and the compensation we receive for that, is it not taking us away from this, from enlightenment or just being able to breathe and truly choose what we do with our life? I would like to do a video in the future even talking about maybe my own philosophy, which is I believe everybody should be able to wake up every day and choose what they do, whether it's be a part of society or disconnect, or if they want to, I think there has to be some level of genuine freedom to choose what you do with your time and your energy. Sometimes you may have to help the community or help build a house or help build a building for the community that everybody's going to use in the future, like the main house or the long houses, I think some indigenous cultures call them. Yes, sometimes it's going to be a pain in the ass to do that, but that feeling that you're going to get at the end of the day should be more worth it than anything you're going to get paid or given in return, or just knowing that you're helping your community and society as a whole should be enough of a reward. And the fact that we look outside of ourselves to the point where we go, oh, I want to get paid more money, or I'm trying to buy a house or a boat or whatever it is, I feel like that takes away from the reality where you could just go and build a house or build a boat, or, you can find those resources out in the world, bring them together and do it yourself without having to find other people to either do it for you or, pay them the time, or you know what I mean? It's just, that being said, in a society with, people who have different skills, that doesn't mean you couldn't go to somebody and ask them to build you a boat in exchange for yada yada yada, or for them to give you the information. You know what I mean? It's like, do you want a society where everybody is specialized in their own things and you go to specific people for specific jobs or specific work? Or would you rather have a society of self-sufficient people where everybody has the skills and everybody is able to kind of change where they work or what profession they're in, basically? Because if you only have one farmer and that farmer becomes ill or passes away and they didn't give that information to other people, then you're kind of up a stream without a paddle, right? But if everybody has the knowledge of farming, then anybody could step up at any given moment or say, oh, I voluntarily want to work on a farm for this amount of time and do this work, whatever, until they choose not to anymore. They want to do something else or help the farm in a different way. And even talking about this before, I've said that I feel like a lot of us, our society wouldn't even have to change, but the reason and the way we do the work would have to change, in the sense of you would still have the hospitals, you would still have like construction groups or whatever, but it's not just, oh, we're going to get paid to build this building or to do this job, and then we go home and we relax and completely disconnect. Because if you are so connected to the society that you're voluntarily wanting to do work, it, I don't know, it's almost hard to explain, but I feel like that would give you a different sense of fulfillment, that you wouldn't have to go home at the end of the day. You would physically have to recharge and probably mentally as well, but I don't think it would be as draining or as depressing or compressing as the work that we do today. It feels like it sucks our energy and it completely destroys us as people, individuals, and our relationships with others and society and community. Whereas, could we shift that whole thing and go, well, why is it for money, or why is the base money capitalism? Why is it not philosophy and our thinking towards ourselves and the world and other people? Like, I don't know. Again, this is all food for thought. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time now, because I am passionate about this topic and I feel like it is really important, right? Like, I have a bunch of notes in my notebook here talking about bullionism, mercantilism, physiocracy, and like the difference between capitalist democracy and communist democracy, and just a whole bunch of different notes in terms of how I think it could work or what we would need to focus on. And obviously I want to do more videos in this series. This is more just dipping my toes in the water and kind of getting you guys and kind of getting you ready for, this topic and this thinking, because I feel like this really is the way of the future, right? Like Star Trek. Imagine if everyone had a replicator in their house where you just type in what you want and it transforms energy or matter into this food that you then consume, and it actually tastes like the food, and it, you know what I mean? And we don't have to pay bills to make it work or pay for the power, because you can get power from the atmosphere. You don't need the forms of power that we're using, or we could greatly, like solar powers, you could greatly increase the amount of power they output, but we have limiters on them. What is that about? You know what I mean? It's a crazy world we live in right now, but I feel like it's even crazier to keep wanting to perpetuate this world of money and monetary incentive, instead of trying to look for a better alternative or something that just works better for everyone. As we can see with the distribution of wealth over the past few years, or the past few decades even, it hasn't been very egalitarian or equal, whatever you want to say. It hasn't been very fair or equal seeming for a long time. And I also understand the idea of wanting to work hard and working for what you have and protecting what you have and all that stuff, but in a sense, that's kind of what I was touching on in my Life is Irony video and a bunch of other podcast episodes that I've done, is that idea that we're not separate from the whole, we are the whole. So why can't we treat the world like we are all one, or we are all more connected than just the physical, you know what I mean? That's almost exactly why I say we need the base of philosophy to build on top of, because if you don't have a better understanding of yourself or the world around you, or how you interact with people and how that affects the world, then how are you ever going to, truly be able to interact with it, in my opinion, And this also leads me back to what I was talking about in that mental health video. Is psychopathy linked to nepotism and positions of power and sacred bloodlines? I feel like the average person, most people are not bad people, are not inherently trying to perpetuate this system. We've just been brainwashed into it, or we've been predisposed to this existence or this outcome from birth, and then we just perpetuate it all through our life, but we don't take a step back to try and do more critical thinking, in my opinion, that could truly lead us to a better, more beneficial future for everyone, right? But that's kind of my 2 cents for this first video, and I'll try to get some ideas together for a second part and continue this series, and maybe it'll kind of mix with my philosophy series, who knows. You know, I want to know your thoughts and what you think about a world without money, if you think it's possible, if you would like to try and live in a world without money, or if you'd like to try and live in a commune, rather than a big city or wherever you're living right now. And also let me know any ideas that you have that you think would be necessary or definitely be essential or definitely be highly beneficial to a world without money. My contribution would probably be philosophy, and I would love to be a philosophy teacher, and then from there branch out to a tradesman, a handyman, a farmer, however else I could help society, right? And of course, I feel like everyone should have some chickens or animals that, you know, it could be shared or used throughout the community however possible, you know? Maybe we even get to a point of community kitchens where everybody can come together in a great hall area to eat together food that is prepared together from resources that are gathered and grown together. You know what I mean? But that being said, this is all food for thought, and I'll try to get some more ideas together for more content on this topic in the future. But I think this video has gone on long enough. Like I said before, if you enjoyed it, drop a comment, drop a like, make sure you subscribe. Not only so you don't miss any of the new videos I drop, but it helps us grow the community. And who knows, maybe one day we'll have a commune going. The world's our oyster, right? That being said, I'll leave it here. I love you, stay safe, good luck, and take it easy.